Okay, so what I've done is taken that little sequence that I just played and I've got it up here as a screencast. I'm going to talk through some of the techniques that I was using in both the left and the right hands. Before I do, one thing I need to make clear is the way I'm going to be talking about the different fingers, okay? Rather than messing about talking about thumbs and first fingers and middle fingers and ring fingers and all that, I'm going to use classical piano fingering, which, if you don't know, it is dead simple. It just uses the numbers 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the right hand, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the left. So in each hand, the thumb is 1 and the pinky is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it just makes things a little bit easier. Right, so let's wheel back to the start and have a look at what's going on here. First of all, I want you to look at what I'm doing down here in the left hand. Very simple. As in the original exercise, I'm just going down the scale. But you'll notice what I'm doing, rather than playing each note just once, I'm putting a bit of rhythm in. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah? Just look at that again. It just helps to give the whole thing a bit of a sense of movement. Bum, bum. Usually it's just bum, 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 bum. Sometimes it's a tiny bit more complicated, but not much more. Now, when you're just starting off doing this improvisation, if you're not very confident and all you can do is one hit on each note, that's absolutely fine. But as you do get more confident, and if you play it lots of times, you'll find that your left hand wants to, add that tiny bit of extra movement. Okay, so don't be afraid to do that. Later on in this version of the improvisation, I actually make the left hand a bit more complicated still, but we'll come on to that in a second. For now, excuse me, we'll just leave it be. But bear in mind that as well as playing those notes, we're using the left to create just an extra bit of rhythm, okay, which drives the whole thing forward. Now let's think about the right. What that left hand does do is give us a set of implied chords for the right hand to improvise over. Yeah, I talked about this in the original video on the improvisation exercise, but I'll just go through it again. The chords I usually play are C, here, obviously it's a tonic chord. Then when I go down to the B in the bass, I tend to play G, the B, over a B, okay? Then we have A minor or A minor 7. When I get to here, sometimes I play C over G, sometimes I play a G chord. It kind of varies, depending what I'm feeling like. When I get here, it's F or F major 7. This E tends to become either a C with an E in the bass or an E minor 7 chord. And the D is D minor 7. The G is G7. As we'll see, it's actually a bit more complicated than that because the actual chords I play are sometimes rather different. Yeah? But let's have a look at what's happening here. What I essentially do is take those basic chords or chords that are built up from them and play little patterns around them, play arpeggios, or play, as we'll see in this first example, suspensions. Let me just show you a suspension because it's a really good little trick. We'll run the video from the start. Watch the right hand here, starting on C. Right, that was a suspension. Blink and you miss it, so let's have a look again. What I'm doing is starting off on that C chord, okay, moving down it, and then as my as number 2 finger hits the B there, I'm going to go for what starts to look like a G chord but isn't quite. Okay, I've got 1 on the D, 2 on the G, so it looks like a G chord, but the natural thing for me to do would be to go for the B straight away. But if you look here, I don't. I keep the my number 5 finger, my pinky, on the C. So I've got B in the bass and then D, G, C, and that C resolves onto the B to give the full G chord. And that's what's called a suspension because I'm suspending that G, I'm holding it over from the previous chord and running it into this one. Let's just run that again. C, and there's a suspension. And there's another one, and there's another one, but this time it was on an F chord, because you see I've got down to F in the bass, and you'll see rather than playing C, F, A, I've gone for C, F, and then the B that's left over from the G chord that went beforehand, which is coming down to the A. Okay, there it goes. Yeah, let's just look at that little bit again. So we've got C, suspension G, C, suspension G, suspension F. Yeah, they're just quite nice little interesting sounds. Yeah, quite a useful little tool, quite an easy thing to do, because it also lets your hand move up and down the keyboard, usually down the keyboard, quite smoothly. Okay, now let's look at this pattern that I'm playing here. This is a very classic, almost cliche little pattern that's going on here. If you've seen my video on country thirds, you'll know all about this. Okay, so all it is a C shape, but rather than playing the E straight off, I've got the D and I'm resolving up to the E. Again, it's about, as with the case with these suspensions, it's another suspension. It's all about creating tension within the chord and then resolving it. Yeah, which is what all music is about, really. Well, at least in the Western tradition. Here we go. Yeah, a real little cliche of pop piano there. But now the really interesting thing is, look what's going on in the left hand there. I'm not actually supposed to be playing a C chord there. Okay, I can get away with it just playing the C there because I've got the E in the left. But here, I'm playing that pattern over a D chord. Notice that the whole thing doesn't grind to a halt. It doesn't sound terrible. In fact, that was deliberate. Yeah. What I've done is take the basic D minor 7 chord and extended it. Yeah, because this shape makes a D minor 11. Okay, so that's the normal D minor would be that D, F, A. The D minor 7 is the C. The D minor 9 is the E, and the D minor 11 is the G. Of course, I haven't thought about that. I've just stuck on the C shape and let it hang over. Okay, but in effect, what I've done is create an entirely different chord, a richer and more interesting chord. The fact is, I could play that C, that little C riff there, that little lick, over just about any of those notes. In fact, over any of them. I could play it going all the way down and it would sound fine. In each case, it would create a kind of, an interesting and sometimes quite tense chord, but it would never sound entirely wrong. And really, that's because it's the tonic chord. Whatever you play there in the right is going to sound at least functional. It will at least work in this key. If we went into a really different chord in the left, if I jumped to an E flat chord, okay, it wouldn't work quite as well. It would sound a bit iffy. But with these chords, all of which are natural chords of C major, you'll know what I mean if you've seen my videos on harmony. All of them natural chords of C major. With all of those, it works absolutely fine. Okay, let's just run that whole sequence again and let it keep going. I'll turn the sound up for a minute or two. Okay, and then notice the chord I'm playing there. Rather than just a G, I'm playing A, C, G. A classic way to vary your dominant chords, rather than playing a straight dominant chord like the G, is to play a number 4 chord, which in C major is 1, 2, 3, 4, F, or something that's like a 4 chord, with a number 5 note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, G in C major in the left. And it creates that really sort of pleasing, rich sound that still takes you back to C. Let's keep running it from there. Just look at this next section. Look at what I'm doing with my right hand here. Moving up. Okay. What you'll notice is that there weren't any massive jumps there. And in this whole improvisation, there aren't any really big jumps. When you're improvising, big jumps are risky because if you jump from an F chord here to a G chord up here, there is a pretty good chance you'll miss. Okay, so often when you're improvising this kind of material, you can obviate that risk, you can get rid of that risk simply by moving very slowly without big jumps. What I did there was move up a series of different shapes. So we started off with this shape, a rough C shape, then I moved up to that kind of hand position, then I moved up to that hand position, another kind of C shape. See, I've got the E in the bass there, and then that became the D with F, A, C, E, which makes D minor 9, to the G. Okay. Now notice how those hands are moving up. What tends to happen is that they're working crab fashion. Okay, I'm kind of dividing my hand in half, and this part of the hand, because we're moving up the keyboard, moves first, and then this part of the hand follows it. So it's like, you know, it's like a crab moving sideways. First this bit goes up, and when it's secure, this bit follows. Let's watch that again. So first shape. Okay, I actually saw it happen. Whoops, whoa, we're going a bit crazy there. It happened kind of the other way around there, because instead of moving this bit of the hand up first, I moved this bit of the hand up first. You can do it either way. Okay, I should have remembered that I've done that, sorry. Here we go. So this bit of the hand moves up, and then that goes up. A little bit of a jump there. Okay, and then it happened there. I moved that bit of the hand up before the rest of it jumped. Very small jumps are going on, but nothing major. Okay, what I'm generally doing is moving one part of the hand first, and then the other part of the hand is following it. Yeah, really quite simple stuff. Let's carry on. Okay, watch this pattern. Okay, in fact, there are two distinct patterns there, both of which are pretty useful. This one, I'm playing a kind of rocking pattern. I'm hitting repeatedly with the thumb, and then again it's about dividing the hand in half and then using this part of the hand to play down little triplets. Are they triplets? Little sequences of notes coming down here. So dum da 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 da, dum da 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 da. Just watch it again. Okay, and again. Again, it's got a simple movement, but when I'm doing it quickly, it's hard to see exactly. And there, those are just simple arpeggios. Okay, I'm taking the basic notes of a chord and rocking along them. Okay, just playing them in order or in quite a simple pattern. I'll just run that little sequence again very slowly from there. Continuing the arpeggios. Okay, that was a good example of moving up crab fashion using my arpeggios. Okay, now I'm back to a variation of that simple suspended second and third riff. And again, moving crab fashion. Bit of a jump there. Notice how simplicity can really work. Yeah, things have got a little bit more complicated than the left. We'll come on to that in a second. But what I do in those first couple of bars in the right there of that time through is just play two Cs, an octave apart, and it sounds fine. I could do it all the way through a full section. I don't, but I could do. Let's just play that. Instead I go back to that pattern and back into something similar to what I did previously, in the previous time through. What happened there was something which doesn't happen much in the whole improvisation. I actually put a finger over. If you watch this finger here, it comes over. So the chord shape I'm going to is from a C down through a kind of A minor shape again, which is making kind of quite a rich chord sound because I'm actually playing a B in the bass. Yeah, the central lesson to learn from this, I suppose, is when you're playing around with the natural chords of a key like this, it kind of doesn't matter what you play, as long as you're playing something that is natural to the key. It will at least sound kind of okay. It might be a bit quirky, it might be a bit strange, it might be distinctive, but it won't be, oh my god, that's wrong. People listening to you won't think you're wrong. Okay, let's just run that again. And there goes the finger over. Okay, and in that one, that little movement, I was taking two techniques that you used earlier. One of them was the splitting my hands up and kind of playing arpeggio type things, and the other was using those suspended shapes. Yeah, making the suspensions. Notice that the left hand's got thicker here, and what I'm doing, you can't see it because I'm out of shot there, but with my number 5 finger down there, I'm holding the note and doing the bouncing with the thumb. You can probably see it because I might get a sense of it because of the hand movement. So that one, that pinky is staying exactly where it is, and then I'm bouncing on the thumb to create the rhythm. See? Boom. Quite exaggerated there. Chunky chords in the right. Again, moving it fairly steadily. Bit of a jump there, or risky. Generally quite slow movements. Some more kind of suspension type things. Okay, back to doing something I've done previously. What you often find, you'll notice what I was doing there was repeating that kind of pattern where I went from the C, E, G shape, number 2 finger over to the A, to the ACE shape. And I'm doing it down here as well. Often when you're improvising, you'll find a pattern that's kind of comfortable or works, and you'll just keep doing it time and time again in different places. Look at the benefit to be had from playing things in different octaves, by the way, the kind of contrasts you get. Okay? Something else that's happening a little bit is something I've talked about in the past, which is right hand leading, where the right hand is going for the chord slightly before the beat. Okay, and again, it gives it a sense of movement. It's not that obvious in many places here, but you can just about see it. There, just faintly, and there. Notice the suspension. Back to those octaves. Again, a pattern that I played earlier. Ah, right. Great excitement, because I've done a key change. That's what I call, actually, it's not my expression. A mate of mine uses it quite a lot. It's what I call a Disney key change, because you come across it so much in Disney songs. From the final chord of the sequence, from the G, which should take you back to the C, I've gone up a semitone from G7, and I've made it a clear G7, up to A flat 7. And that, rather than resolving onto the C, because it's a semitone up, resolves onto the D flat. So we're in a new key. If you watch any Disney movie, you'll find like 7 or 8, especially modern Disney movies, I mean, things like The Lion King, you'll find like 7 or 8 of these type of key changes in nearly every song. What they do is give a sense of refreshing the improvisation. You know, what we were doing was maybe beginning to get a bit old, a bit tired, so we move it up a semitone, and it's a real push. It's a real kind of optimistic feeling. Look, here's something new. In fact, it's not really that new. It's still the same chord sequence, just transposed up a semitone, a half step. You'll notice because D flat is a slightly more difficult key to play in than C, that my improvising actually gets a little bit simpler here. But well, you'll see what I mean. Okay, let me run it from there so you can see the modulation is a technical term. There you go. Okay, so still in C here. Modulates. There we go. Here we are in D. D flat, sorry. Okay, now an interesting thing about the different key here is that you naturally tend to play different licks in notes that have lots of in keys that have lots of black notes, simply because of the way your hand falls in them. Okay, so a lot of blues licks, especially, which rely on crushing from a black note to a white note in a key like C, you can't do in a key like D flat. Yeah, so you have to play in a slightly different style. And often when you hear pianists change key when they're improvising, you'll notice that the kind of stuff they're playing changes slightly because of what falls under the hand. It's very easy to play that country third kind of shape. So there, G flat is the chord. I'm dropping an A flat in there and resolving to the B. In fact, it's a bit too easy, so I'm doing it quite a lot. Okay. The other thing, you notice I did jump a little bit though. I always think jumping is easier in black note keys because black note's easier to hit. Just watch that again. There, yeah, and there. Okay, here we go. Very simple pattern to end on. Good old cliche there. Now I'm thinking hard, how do I end this thing? Okay, because often if you screw up an improvisation, it's right at the end when you think, yeah, thank God, I've got to the end of the chord sequence, how do I end it? It's often a good idea to have a few little endings up your sleeve, else things can go quite badly wrong there. You can end too quickly or too slowly, or drag it out too much. Anyway, there we go. That was quite exhausting to go through. I had to do about, well, not 100 takes, but quite a lot of takes to get that anything near right. I realise that even though I've broken it down quite a lot, it can still seem really, really difficult. Oh my God, how does he think of all these things? His brain must go at light speed. And honestly, it doesn't. What it starts with is playing that exercise in a very simple way, using very simple chords, and experimenting tiny bit by tiny bit by tiny bit, rather than try and dive in and do stuff like that straight away. Now, by all means, copy some of the stuff I've been doing there because it will help you. Yeah, but you will develop that kind of, this sounds terribly pompous, that kind of level of skill by experimenting. Okay, by starting very, very simply to start with, and kind of letting your fingers doing the thinking. When I'm doing this, I do not and have never thought to myself, right, next I'll play a D minor 11 shape with a suspended fourth. Okay, I've never done that. At least the conscious part of my brain doesn't do that. Rather, it's a subconscious thing. Because I'm very familiar with the keys under my fingers and I kind of instinctively know what sound they'll make, my fingers just go there. Yeah, that's the way improvisation works. It's like, it's kind of like cleaning your teeth or riding a bike. Once you start to think too hard about how you're doing it, it all starts to go horribly wrong. Yeah, it's a bit zen, I know, but there we go. So hopefully that was helpful. If you find this kind of approach useful, let me know. I'm not going to do it for every video because I'm aware it does result in awfully long videos, but hopefully, I will be able to do it again if it has been useful. Do remember to check out my book. If this were a live video, this would be the point where I dug it off the music stand and waved it around. I can't, but yeah, I'll include a link in the video anyway. And if you've got any questions, as usual, drop me a line, add a comment, whatever. As I've been saying recently, sometimes it does take me a little while to get back to people. So apologies if it's like, taking me a week or something to reply to you. I do try to get back to everybody. If you feel that I've missed you, just send me a quick reminder. Okay, so I'm off for a cup of tea and a lie down, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.